Hello, everybody. Hello, Nana Laura. Oh, no. I hope you can make it through, too. And so does Ava. Hello, CE. Hello, C-Rex. Hello, Mortimer Duke. Oh, my goodness. You were early. I am so impressed. I'm so shocked and impressed. Hello, isn't that special? Hello, Blue. Hello, Shane. There will be no poking. Okay, you go ahead. Poke me all you want. Hello, Jelly Bacon Donuts. I had the most beautiful hat hair today, courtesy of you. You, my goodness, you are just full of it at the moment. Pet me, love me, feed me. we know that that's the chant. Let's throw in a couple of barking bacons. So, clearly I am still in Toma. I did not get to go to my parents' home today. So, just a heads up, the next day that I don't wake up to sprinkling ice, I will be heading out to spend a day or two there. But I'm here now, and I spent the day editing, and we're going to have some fun watching people, duke it out. These are all from the archive drive. And I just went through and loaded up a bunch of stuff and found a few things that looked interesting, didn't I, Ava? Oh, she's like, okay, now I'm fed. Now I want love. Yes, the most beautiful girl right here. It's like she's looking at your comment. I just love that. I know. This is our first round of it. Well, I don't know. It's our first round of the ice part of it. And yeah, I'm with you there. I don't like it. I can't drive in it. I just can't. I won't. And it's not fun. I'm not a cold person. Like, don't like the cold. It makes the pain worse. Like, just take it away. Give me back my fall or spring, and I'm happy. I'm good. So soon enough, hopefully. Just need to get to about, May. Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. That doesn't sound like a good thing at all. Ooh. Yeah, usually in January or February, we get one full week of negative 30 to negative 70 Fahrenheit. I am not exaggerating. And it's the wind chill. And like last year or the year before, I think it was the year before, is when it got to negative 72. And Ava had to go potty, so I let her out. And when it's that cold, I know no one is walking their dog at night, so I just opened the door and let her run out real quick and let her run right back in. But I stepped out with her and I took a breath without thinking. It literally, like, my lungs hurt for 3 days because it like instantly froze them. It was so painful to breathe. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think she needs to go take a nap and maybe have a Snickers. That'll fix her. Oh no. That's awful. My aunt she swore by leaving her faucets like open just a little bit. I have one pipe that freezes every year. I found out that it's not actually um the pipe that we thought it was. It's the pipe that we think it is, but it's not the problem we thought it was, because it's the outdoor spigot. Ava, please, can I talk to you too? So it's the outdoor spigot, and every year, I was turning the valve off so that it wouldn't freeze. Well, it turns out that the valve on the inside of the basement has a slow leak. So even though that valve's off, it's still freezing on the outside, and that's what's causing that pipe to burst every year. So it's like off now, and until I can afford to get the pipe fixed on the inside of the house, it's just staying off. Hi, Sherry B. Honey. Hello, Robert from Cologne in Germany. After the stream last night, I went crazy trying to find that musical instrument we talked about, the possible zither. Oh my, she is needy. But I can't find it. It's not in any of the obvious places. And I almost wonder if when I separated from my ex and lived in my car for a little bit, there was a stash of important things of my life that I gave to my parents. And I'm almost wondering if that was one of the items that I gave for my parents to store, which would mean it's back in my family home. And I don't know where. And it's driving me crazy because I've got somewhat of a photographic memory. Like, I can close my eyes and see an item that I'm looking for, but I can't do that with this. So I don't know where it is, and it's driving me nuts, and I hate this. I want it. I want to find it now because it's a big part of my childhood. So that's, gonna... Apparently, I am right-handed today. My left hand is necessarily occupied with petting Ava. She's not going to give up. So yeah, that's going to be a thing. I'm going to find it. I have to. I did not tear my front porch apart because I need help for that, but I don't think it's out there. I think I know what's out there, and I don't think it's there. It's all yard sale stuff. But there are a couple of boxes that I didn't go through when we first moved here. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll turn up eventually. It'll turn up somewhere. Maybe when I get the U-Haul and just load the house into the U-Haul, that maybe then it'll turn up. So anyways, let's get into the fun. Maybe once she hears the intro, she'll calm down. I doubt it, but we'll see. We shall see. We're gonna jump all over the place tonight. Michigan and Washington, and let's see here. There it is.
Our next case is a discovery subpoena case. Mr. Rank, would you have a seat right here? And Ms. right there. Ms. Ramirez Garcia, if you have a seat over here. Now this is file 241271. It's entitled Matthew Rink versus Kimberly Yaneth Ramirez Garcia. This as a result of an automobile accident where the defendant was not insured and not covered by the no fault statute. Mr. Rink filed a lawsuit, served a copy of it on the defendant personally, and she failed to appear for the hearing. And that was on 9/9. The statutory limit for small claims is $7,000. And so I made a finding that you owed him $7,000 plus court costs of $83.50 and 56.15. So he has a judgment against you in the amount of $7,139.65. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you need an interpreter?
No.
Okay. My Spanish is bad. This is a discovery hearing where he asked you to come here to the courthouse and discuss your ability to pay on this debt. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Can you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Do you have the ability to pay on this debt? She shook her head. You have
No.
to speak. No. Are you employed?
Yes.
The packet you got with you indicated a number of things that you were supposed to bring. Bank account numbers, VIN numbers of cars, text stuff. Did you bring any of that information with you?
I did not. I wasn't able to gather all that information due to my job, but yeah.
I get lots, as in hundreds of cases these days of people driving with no insurance. It's under the insurance code and it's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of up to $1,500, not less than $200. And it's punishable by up to a year in jail, so you have to get fingerprinted. They can run your license plate now and tell whether the car is insured or not. They didn't used to be able to do that. So they'll run a plate, find the people that have no insurance, pull them over and cite them. And often they'll reduce it. And rarely, if ever, do any of those people ever go to jail. But the downside of it is if you don't have insurance and you're in an automobile accident, you're not protected by the no fault statute. In which case the mini tort would apply and they could only sue you for $1,000. When you're uninsured, you're liable for all the damage. And what happens is the other person's insurance company will sue you. So I also, in the course of a year, get dozens of people that get sued for money damages for automobile accidents where they weren't insured. You got notice of the hearing and you didn't come. Why didn't you come to the hearing?
I couldn't miss work. I was close to pointing out, so that's why I couldn't make it. And
where do you work?
Morgan Olson.
And are you missing work now too, Mr. Rink?
No, Your Honor, I'm on disability.
Okay. The answer that I don't have enough money to pay it, and I didn't bring any of the information that he requested with me, is not a very good answer. He has a judgment and he can garnish your wages. He can take up to 30% of your net. So he would just have a large chunk of your weekly paycheck sent to him to pay on this debt. And that will leave you without money for rent and heat and lights and that sort of thing. So it isn't going to go away. He has secured this judgment. and he wants to collect his money. He's out more than $7,000. I granted $7,000 because that's the statutory limit. What's your response?
I can't afford to pay him. I can't even afford to get insurance on my car because I'm a single mother of 3. It has been very hard to keep up with everything. So that's why I didn't have insurance in my car.
I really hate to put it this way, but this is a perfect example of why you can't afford not to have insurance on your vehicle. And take it from me, this is a PSA for everyone that watches this. Whatever you have for your liability coverage on your vehicle and the personal injury coverage and the uninsured motorist coverage, bump it up to the next level. I'm not kidding you. Because for the extra $6 a month or so that it may run you to go from 100,000 to 250,000 on your policy, it's worth it. As someone who may be getting very screwed over for the rest of her life because, someone else's insurance policy didn't have enough to cover even the medical bills. Yeah, bump it up. You can't afford to be driving around without insurance because you cause an accident. It's on you.
Because it's just been hard, with bills and everything, my kids.
I see it all the time. There's Kleenexes there. I see it every day. People, I call it driving while poor. They come in here, they don't have insurance, they don't have a proper license plate, because they don't have enough money. They have to get to work. So then they get a ticket. And sometimes they get their car towed, which is like $400. They come in here and then they owe me $300 or more or less. And it just makes the problem worse. And as I indicated, when you're driving around with no insurance, you're a danger to everybody else. You had an accident, you damaged his car, you're not insured, and he's just out $7,000+ If he had turned it into his insurance company, they would have sued you. He probably just had PL&PD insurance, but at least he had insurance. So he's entitled to certain information, including your social security number. Do you have your packet with you, Mr. Rink?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, why don't you refer to it? The documents that she was supposed to bring pursuant to the subpoena. I've got it here. Earning statements, bank statements, real estate deeds, stocks, bonds, or other securities, all motor vehicle titles, watercraft trailers, snowmobiles, your driver's license, identification card, and social security card, Michigan State income tax returns for the last 2 years, and a schedule of your budget or regularly occurring household expenses. For the most part, nobody ever does it, but those are required under a court order. Are you missing work right now?
Yeah, I had to leave work early.
All right. Mr. Rink, what's your thought here?
Well, I understand she's a single mother, and she don't, she's struggling right now, but, I'm willing to work with her. I mean, cause I do, I feel bad, that this has happened to her, and I get it, she's, single mother and stuff, you know, and I don't want to take all of it, you know, all of it.
I understand, you don't, but I respect that. What normally was done is the parties are placed under oath and sent to a private room. We're on the live feed, and I don't want to ask for things like your driver's license number and your social security number here on the record. Do you have your driver's license with you?
Yes.
And do you know your social security number?
Yes, I do.
All right. I want you to go out to the counter and you can take a photocopy of her driver's record. And she needs to provide you with her social security number. Right now, you could garnish her wages, which would just make her probably lose her job. The judgment is good for 10 years. So you could wait until her circumstances change, but fail to stop in a short, clear distance, and you did pay the ticket, so you don't owe the court any money on anything. But you didn't bring any of the things you were supposed to bring, but at least we'll get your driver's license number and your social security number. And he can determine whether he wishes to pursue garnishment or try to work with you to make some sort of payment on this. But you caused a civil damage to him and he's just out $7,000. And you're still driving around with no insurance, which means this could happen again.
She's absolutely lucky that he didn't turn it into his insurance, or, make them sue her, because they would have taken her to Superior Court for everything. And she's lucky she didn't injure him. Medical bills are outrageous. She's actually, even though it's $7,000 and it's a judgment against her, she's lucky.
And you're a lesson learned for all the people that are driving around with no insurance. If they get in an accident, they're really behind the 8 ball. I don't think he's going to garnish your wages. He could, which would take so much of your money, you'd probably have to quit. All right, Mr. Rink, you got anything else you wish to say?
No, Your Honor. Just, only thing I got is I will work with her. I mean, there's no.
I understand. That's really all you could do. I'm glad you're here. When you get sued, if you don't come, you automatically lose. But there's no sanction for not coming. When you get a subpoena, that's a court order to appear. And so you did appear. So I want you to go out to the counter. You can have a copy of her driver's license. You need to give them your social security number. All right. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right. We'll go out and take care of that.
So, Mr. Legrone, and the Fabians, I see there's Jeff Fabian. I'm assuming that Susan's there on separate Zoom calls. So this comes on the calendar from last week. This involves a fence built along the property line or close to the property line. Property with the fence was constructed by Mr. Legrone. They have adjoining parcels in that I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's not really pertinent to the decision, but the Fabians lot is unoccupied, but it had a lot of blackberries apparently. And the fence that was installed by Mr. Legrone a number of years ago, thank you. The blackberries, as blackberries do around here, were growing quite quickly. And they were up against the fence. Some of it was overhanging the fence. It looked like at some point, some of the blackberries were poking through the fence. When Mr. Legrone brought that to the attention of the Fabians, after some discussion, the blackberries were removed or taken off. At that point, the fence fell over. A portion of the fence, not the whole fence, but the portion of the fence fell over. Mr. Legrone brought this lawsuit against the Fabians seeking replacement of the fence. I heard testimony last week. There was a number of pictures submitted by both sides. I was curious about a couple of things I wanted to look up, which I did. And I went back and reviewed all those pictures and ready to make a decision. And the decision is as follows. And so when Mr. Legrone put the fence up, it's your obligation to maintain the fence, certainly on your side of the fence and on the adjoining property side of the fence. If there are things encroaching on that fence or encroaching on your property, like overhanging branches or which we actually see that issue here, both in small claims as well as on the anti-harassment calendar.
We had the tree last night, so I had to go for the bushes tonight.
You have the right and the obligation to maintain your fence properly, to cut that off and cut off the overhang and trim branches from the other side of the fence to maintain your fence. With that in mind, also, I looked at my review of the fences, and I'm, again, like I said before, I'm not an expert on a lot of these things that come in front of me, but just looking at the fence and the condition of the fence when all this came about is along the bottom of the fence where it fell over, it was essentially rotted out, for lack of a better term. Now, was it? I don't think I can find it was rotted out as a result of the blackberries. The fence had been there for, my memory is correct, and my notes are correct, for 12 years. The fence has essentially reached the end of its useful life.
No.
And
8 years.
Although other portions of the fence apparently didn't appear to be rotted and that's just the state of the fence. But given the portion of the fence that was at issue here, I find that I'm unable to enter a judgment on behalf of Mr. Legrone against the Fabians, and that'll be my finding. They didn't have an obligation. They didn't, of course, neglect any obligations on their part, and this case will be dismissed and it'll be a finding for the defense, and that'll conclude the case here.
You're wrong on the date. You said 12 years.
Okay. Well, how many years was it?
I told you last week it was 8 years.
Okay, so it was 8 years, but nonetheless, given the condition of the fence, combined with, like I say, you certainly had the opportunity or could have, cut that stuff back over the lifetime of the fence. And so that's my ruling here today.
Your Honor, I can't trespass on their property to cut along the bottom of their side of the fence.
Okay.
And that's what I was told.
Okay. And so, well, you could, okay, this is going to be my ruling here today, but I know this happens a lot. You could contact them and work out some sort of deal where you can maintain the other side of the fence, and that never happened. And that's going to be my ruling here today.
Okay. All right.
And you're all free to leave the Zoom call.
I'll be in contact with them.
Yeah, whatever happened to having a civilized conversation with your neighbor when there's a problem? When my neighbor was redoing his fence because a large section had come down, in the course of the year that it had been down before he was able to repair it, my rhubarb plants decided that they were going to migrate to his yard. What did he do? He talked to me. And he helped me even. And we got the rhubarb plants dug out and moved, like 2 feet more my direction. And then I had I think it was 40 some pots of rhubarb plants to sell at the farmer's market. Crazy, right? When you just work with people and be civil about it, things go much better. This guy, I think you'll enjoy this one. Now, I'm not saying he's wrong, but this guy sued Apple. Actual Mac Apple.
So Mr. Pond and Mr. Moss. So Mr. Moss, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down. So you're gonna have to explain to me, let's see, just a second. You've submitted some things, including several screenshots
Yes,
of, and you're asking for a judgment in the amount of 10,000 for violation of privacy on Apple devices. And I guess I'm gonna require you to explain to me how that, how I can get there from here.
sure.
To use
So,
a phrase I just used in the last case.
so several months ago, I noticed that my microphone on my laptop was turning on, even when I was visiting websites where I had checked the box deny on my browser. So in other words, I would go to YouTube or I would go to Facebook or other pages where video or audio were playing, and I would see the microphone icon turn on. So I got concerned about that because I thought I might be surreptitiously recorded by Apple. And are they recording what I'm saying? Are they recording sounds from my living room? I didn't know. So I contacted Apple support. Well, actually, first I looked online to see if anyone else was having the same concern. And so I submitted that screenshot of a thread in the Apple support forums where several other people were commenting, and it seemed like the problem was pretty widespread. So people were having the microphone turn on regardless of whether or not you had selected deny for the website that you were visiting. So YouTube is a great example. The microphone would just turn on randomly. So I started a thread with Apple support. I have the case number here, and I submitted that email as well. That correspondence started in early June, and the last email I sent, I expressed concerns about my privacy, and I said I'll look into legal action if I don't hear back. That was June 28th, and so never heard back. And so I'm here really primarily for accountability, and I want to understand what's happening. Is my privacy being violated? Apple touts this as one of their primary mission statements, is the privacy of the users, and if they're recording me in my living room, that seems like a violation of that mission statement and their policies.
He's not wrong. You know, the microphone does turn on with a lot of the apps. Part of the reason is all of the different, like Alexa and Cortana, and everything has the search by voice feature in all of the apps now. So yes, it does do that. Are they listening to your personal conversations? You know, they might be. There's no way to prove it, but you know, doing a court case, you do have the option and opportunity to request discovery. You know, that might have been a good route to take in this instance if that's what you're after.
Okay. Well, let me hear from Mr. Pond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Could you raise your right hand, please?
Oh.
Do you swear to affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down.
Hmm.
So you're Nate Pond from Apple.
That is correct.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So just recapping the timeline of events that at Apple that we have for our interaction with the plaintiff. On June 10, 2024, the customer reached out to Apple support, our support arm channel, and reported that, quote, the microphone on my computer opens automatically across all kinds of websites, including YouTube, and there's no way to stop it from happening. He did provide a thread to Apple's discussion forums where other users were reporting the same issue. And so when a customer reports that they're having this kind of issue, oftentimes if we don't if the advisor doesn't have the information immediately present to them, when customers report issues to us, we sometimes need to do investigations into them to figure out why is this happening. The issue that he's reporting, let's gather data, let's figure it out. That is what happened in this case. So on June 11, his advisor sent what's called a request for technical assistance. That is when we gather all the information about everything that's being reported, and we send it to a team called Site Support Engineering, or SSE. And what this means is this is our team of engineers and the people that interface with those engineers who actually dive into these issues that maybe we haven't seen, or maybe that we're investigating, and figures them out, either provides a quick answer or digs into to figure these things out. So that happened on June 11. And then on the same day, SSE, Site Support Engineering, I'll just say SSE for brevity. They asked for, okay, can you gather some additional information from the customer and from the customer's device, which again, this is very common that we'll do. So we reached out on June 13, the advisor reached out to the customer to gain permission to provide access to all that information. And these are computer log files, everything that the computer might have been doing at that time, so that we can then look at that and figure out what is happening here with what's being reported. So that happened on June 13. And then on June 17, SSE informed the plaintiff's advisor to, hey, let him reach out to him and let him know of the following: that Apple has received reports of the symptom you described and is currently investigating this issue. Keep your software up to date. You may also want to check the support website from time to time for possible updates about this issue. Further updates, if any, may come by way of a software update, knowledge base article, or software release. Okay, so very, very common that with a software issue, we say that, resolution from this may come from like a software update, but that we'd received reports and that we were looking into it. The next day, the advisor requested an update, but SSE replied, we can't speculate on the outcome of an investigation. Again, we're looking into this issue. We've kind of shared our response. We have nothing more to share at this time. On June 20th, the advisor shared asking that the customer has asked for an update, but there was no further update. And then we didn't hear anything further on this matter until more than a month later, on July 25th, where the customer emailed Apple asking for an update, but there's no record of Apple replying or contacting the customer at that time. And then there's no further record our end until we ended up getting the summons. I have been advised through Apple did an internal investigation on this and looked into it, dug into the details, and I wanted to share what they found was that there was no impact. There ultimately, after digging into it, there was no impact to the customer's privacy. However, it may have appeared, there was no impact to his privacy, and also that the issue was resolved through software updates. So in the same way, from what was found, the issue was resolved through software updates. Privacy is very important to us as a company, and so fortunate there was no impact to the customer's privacy. And then finally, what we would share is that in regards to liability, or the money that is being asked for by the plaintiff, we would point to our public facing Apple Care Plus terms and conditions, which that is the service under which we were providing the plaintiff with service, was under the Apple Care Plus for Mac service that he had. And under those terms and conditions, it, under Section 8 of our limitations of liability, states that Apple specifically does not warrant that the operation of the product will be uninterrupted and error-free. So we do stipulate that under our limitations of liability, but that would be our that would be our case and our side in this matter.
Okay, so Mr. Moss, I'm going to come back to you. You know, that thing was on. Do you know, you said I'm concerned I was being recorded, my privacy was invaded. Do you know what was happening? Were you being recorded, or do you just assume that, or were you think
Oh,
that, or it may be, or what exactly?
Oh, I didn't know this. This is why I was contacting Apple to support to understand, but I have the email. I don't think,
No, I know that, but I mean,
Yeah.
do you know if you were ever recorded?
well, no, this is why I'm here, is I'm wanting to
Right.
know with certainty. So I appreciate what Mr. Pond has shared.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
And tell you this. So you're a plaintiff in a lawsuit. Anytime anyone's a plaintiff in a lawsuit, they have a responsibility or a burden of proof, you know, and in criminal cases, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's in civil cases, which this is, it is small claims, but still it's a civil lawsuit, even though attorneys aren't allowed.
Yeah.
You know, you have a responsibility, you have a burden of proof. So you brought say they're invading my privacy. So one, you have to convince me that your privacy was actually invaded. And or recorded somehow, and then following that, you have to show what your damages are, and then I do that. And as far as I can tell, you know, I don't know what was going. I mean, I'll admit I go on YouTube quite a lot, and and I don't know whether you were being recorded when you went on YouTube or not, and it doesn't sound like you do either. And if you can't show that you're recorded and your privacy was actually invaded, then, you know, the case doesn't, you know, really can't go beyond that. You see what I mean?
I totally see what you mean, but the
And
screenshots.
I can't give you a judgment. I can't speculate, well, your privacy may have been invaded or something like that. I'm not allowed to do that.
I understand. The screenshots I sent were purposely geared toward demonstrating that the microphone was turned on even when I had access denied in my browser. So to me, that's proof that a microphone was active on my computer, even when I had denied it access. So I think that's proof enough on the face of it. I'd like to know what the proof is that I was not being recorded, given that this icon that says the microphone is on is in the actual photo that I took on my computer.
So, well, first of all, like I say, you don't need to see, they're not required to prove anything. They don't have to prove it's not. You have to prove that it was.
Well, the microphone being on seems to prove
that's
it.
just the fact the micro's on, that doesn't prove anything other than the fact that there's an icon that says the microphone was on. Doesn't say it's being, doesn't say it's going anywhere. Doesn't know where it's being received by anyone. And Apple doesn't sound like Mr. Pond knows that either. I don't know whether Apple as an entity does or not. But again, it's your responsibility as a plaintiff to prove that. And
how could I prove that?
I can't give you advice on how to do that. You don't want me instructing Apple how to conduct their case, and they don't want me telling you how to conduct your case. I can't do that. And so you can talk to a lawyer, you know, you can speak to a lawyer and they may give you some direction, but that's what lawyers do, is they give people direction and advice as to how to win their cases. I decide who wins the cases. I can't tell one side how to do that.
I can appreciate that.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
But for today, and again, based on the evidence presented, I'm finding you haven't met your burden, and the case will be dismissed.
Okay, may I ask one question?
Yes.
Okay, this is for Mr. Pond. Why go through
Well,
all of this?
You're not.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you don't. I mean, well, go ahead. You can ask the question if you want.
No, I'm just curious. Why go through all of this if this is the end result? Like, you could have had Apple support respond to me and say, "Hey, software update, we got it fixed."
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Mr. Pond, if you want to answer
that. Certainly, you know, looking at the case record, you knowing that seems like it would have headed this off for you. What I will share is just from our information, you know, when investigations are done, you don't always get to hear like how those pan out, which I know certainly is frustrating. However, I am glad to be able to share that the issue was resolved with no impact to your privacy.
Okay,
And that we're able to work on it.
I'll have to take your word for it, right?
Okay,
Thank
look,
you,
we're
Your
not going
Honor.
to have that discussion. Again, what's in front of me is whether you've proven that you have to prove two things, whether your privacy was actually invaded, which I can't find, and then based on whatever damages may be in place. And obviously, I'm not finding on either of that, but I mean,
I get it.
you can
I
you
appreciate
can get
that.
on any message board and comment on Apple's practices, but that's what's going to happen here today.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you both are free to go.
Okay.
That lawyer was trying so hard to keep from saying, of the 3.5 billion people we serve, sir, you are not that important. Oh, to receive an individual response, every single client that emails them. Can you imagine? I get it. They want people to feel like every single one of them is that important, but really we're not. You send an issue off, you get an email that's, a form written email that says, we'll look into it, look for a software update. That's usually the end of it. Yeah, exactly. Hello, Michelle Moreland, my love. It's so hip. Words. I am so happy to see you. It is so good to have you here. And I smushed the two of them together. I'm just I just took Ava out potty, and we were singing. Ava and we were singing over the river and through the woods. The Ava had to go. We took her out and hooked her up, and off she went to pee in the snow. Oh, I know how much you love them. And the cloud. The bane of Sir Philip's existence. Your doggies and my pupper are on the same potty schedule, because every time I say the PAWFURM potty break, suddenly yours are crossing their paws and eyes. You mean it's not lemon flavored? Aw, drats.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Once you get along and healthy.
That's fine. I don't know.
Shh, gotta be quiet in court. You have to be quiet in court. We are in the courtroom, waiting on the judge.
Okay. You gotta have that on mute too.
It says YouTube.
Mute.
Yeah, you're definitely on YouTube, all right. That was just a cute little snippet that the case it was attached to was, yeah, no. But that was cute.
So you're Ms. Is it Supaya? Am I saying her name correctly? You can take a seat. So what, you go take a seat. I do see that you've got service. I'm sorry. So tell me what, you didn't file anything. You have some documents there.
Yeah.
Tell me what this is about. What happened here?
Actually, I lived in Bellevue and I moved to Malaysia to take care of my mom,
Right?
but she passed away. So I came back trying to find a house in Bellevue. Couldn't find one. Found it here, bought
Okay,
a house, and it needed some remodeling.
got it.
And I tried to call in some remodelers through the internet. But when I was in Home Depot, this guy named Steven said, I have somebody here that could help you, because I was going to do the floors. So I called him, and his name is John Canella. And he was very nice, cordial, helpful, gave me an estimate to do the kitchen side first. And I agreed. But I failed to check if he was licensed. I didn't know.
Okay.
So then I wanted him to do the living room and everything else. So he started giving me the estimates initially, and then he stopped because the house needed painting and a lot needed to be done. So I didn't want to be in debt, so I just wrote in checks thinking, he has to earn
You
money.
wrote him checks and he didn't do the work, is what you're saying.
He did
Some
do
of it.
the work, but I paid him over. It was about over 100,000. I paid him. But he never gave me the estimate. So the tax time came and I went to my tax guy and I have to write all this down and gave it to him. He's the one who said, you've paid 100,000. What did he do? Blah, blah, blah. And then I went back to him and I said, you have to give me the estimates for work you've done.
Right.
So when I wrote down all the stuff that he had done and how much it is, it came to about 46,000, only labor, nothing else.
Okay.
And so he and I sat down and looked at all the checks that he's cashed, which I have copies of.
Right.
And he said, I have to go to my bookkeeper, get the stuff, the information and bring it to you. But in the meantime, I'll give you an estimate. And he wrote it down in ink and I got the papers that he wrote it down. And then he never actually came back with a bookkeeper. He gave me all sorts of excuses. And I was still writing checks to him because he keeps asking me. So
Well, did he stop working and you kept writing checks?
he was working actually, but he had other jobs that he would only come in when he has a slot that he could work. And then I started calling him.
Did he finish the job?
No,
Okay.
no. He supposed to put the sprinkler system. It's inoperable. He did put it in. It's inoperable. He doesn't know. He didn't do the bathroom. A list that he
So you paid him for a lot of things that he did not do.
did not do. And then when I asked him, he stopped calling me. He stopped
When was the last time you've seen him?
April. Sometime in April.
Okay,
So he owes me about $50,000.
okay.
And
So, hey, man, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So these are a default.
Yeah.
The maximum you can get a judgment amount is $10,000.
Right.
I already told you about how that might be difficult to turn that into
Correct.
money.
Yeah.
But given your, what you've indicated, you'll get a judgment amount of $10,000 in principal. There'll be a $50 filing fee, which you get back, or which you get awarded also. So the total judgment amount is $10,050.
What she has paid him is enough to completely buy a new house that's really close to what my house cost. Completely. Is Washington just like, are things that high priced? I am shocked. I really am. I'm just shocked.
All right. So hang on just a minute. We'll give you a copy of this and then you're free to go.
okay. I
And
did
then
try dispute resolution. He never showed up.
Yeah,
Couldn't
based
come
on
to-
what you've said, ma'am, that's
Yeah, okay.
not surprising. You can make a copy. We'll give you a copy of this, then you're free to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
And again,
Judge.
just for the record, I found service by, it looks like you had registered mail that he did sign for.
Yes, it is.
All right, good luck, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay.
Just stand by for a minute. He's gonna make a copy of that. Once you get that, you're free to go.
Okay,
And I'm gonna step off.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up, I want to call the case of James Tyler versus Capital Home Improvement. I believe some parties are here in person, plaintiffs, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and some parties are here on Zoom. Mr. Lorenzen, are you here for Capital Home Management or Improvement? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, Mr. Lorenzen, if you could sit a little bit closer to your microphone. You're kind of quiet here in the courtroom. If you could just, okay, yeah, I can hear you a lot better now. If you would just maintain that during the trial, I appreciate it. So if you guys could just pick a seat at one of these tables. I'm going to pull up the materials that you've submitted.
Right.
Right. In this case, procedurally is a little bit confusing because there was an initial default judgment and then that was set aside. And so now we're proceeding to trial. Are both sides ready for trial today?
Your Honor, I do have one concern. When we were trying to mediate, Gaynor was never on this case file, and I wanted to clarify it because we could not mediate that until we got clarification. So I looked online where Gaynor's position is. He was retired. You know, he's retired. So I was not dealing with him in the case of this matter. So I have a screenshot of it on my phone where he claims that he is the president. So I'm confused of the situation where you can kind of change your position or jump back and forth. But what I'm presenting is that I want to at least deal with somebody that I was dealing with, and that was Teresa, not Gaynor.
Okay, so what you're saying is in response to my question about are you ready for trial? You're saying you might not be ready for trial because you need more.
I am ready, but I just need to know if he can actually be on this.
Okay, I understand. Mr. Lorenzen, what's your position at Capital Home Improvement?
I'm president.
And what about this allegation that you're listed as retired on the internet? Is that right?
That is not correct. No.
I have a screenshot, Your Honor.
No, I understand.
Sorry.
Mr. Lorenzen, why would the internet show that you're retired?
I have no idea. I really don't. I get a paycheck every Friday.
Okay. All right, thank you. So Mr. Lorenzen, what's the position of the person that the plaintiff was previously dealing with? Was it Teresa?
Yeah, she's secretary as far as on the paperwork.
She's not.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lorenzen.
I could pull it up right now. She's not the secretary.
No, I understand. So based on his representations, would you like more time to investigate? Or are you ready to go to trial now with the representations that Mr. Lorenzen's made?
Can Teresa be present? Can Teresa be present? Because she is there. She's there. We've only talked to Teresa. We've never talked to him.
So would you like to call Teresa as a witness? Is that what you're saying? Is Teresa available to testify, Mr. Lorenzen?
Teresa's not going to be dealing with this anymore. It's a health issue. She's had a recent stroke and this is not helping at all.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you'd like to call Teresa as a witness, but she's not available. You didn't know that Mr. Lorenzen was going to be here today and you're not sure what his position is.
No.
So I'm hearing that you're not actually ready for trial. I mean, I know you know the facts and everything else, but if this detail is going to hold things up,
okay,
then do you want more time to investigate that and figure out if you can call Teresa as a witness somehow on your own?
Will she ever be present?
I have no control over that.
We'll move forward.
You'll move forward today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. Does either party have any objection to my hearing this case, given that I'm a judge pro tem and not one of the elected judges on the district court?
No. No.
No.
I won't hold it against you.
No.
No
I'm
objection.
sorry.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Lorenzen?
That's all good.
Objection. Okay, thank you. So we're very limited on time. I've got one more case at least that I want to get to today, and I've got about 45 minutes to do it. So I'm not sure it'll happen, but we're going to try. I've read the introductory materials. Does either side have a witness that they're going to be calling?
My mother.
Okay, and Mr. Lorenzen, do you have any witnesses? Oh, no? Okay. So if you could all just raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony that you're going to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right, everyone said in the affirmative, so we're going to proceed with the trial. And let me just get people's names right. Mr. Tyler, I apologize. You can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. It is beyond my comprehension to understand how the installation of 3 standard size windows for my kind and loving mother's home could take so long and go terribly wrong. We are here today because the employees of Capital Home Improvement have been dishonest, inconsiderate of my work schedule and my mother's work schedule and the medical emergencies my mother's was dealing with in the past. They constantly changed the installation dates from September to October, then to the end of December and possibly January of 2023. The blatant disrespect from Teresa Lawrence constantly yelling at my mother while my mother calmly tried to convey to Teresa why we could no longer accommodate Capital Home Improvement constant changes to the installation dates for the 3 standard size windows. Nor could we tolerate Teresa's yelling at my mother, which was totally unprofessional and disrespectful. The dishonesty started with Nolan Archer on August 26th of 2022. Nolan conveyed to my mother and I that there was a good possibility that they had 3 standard size windows for my mother's available at Capital Home Improvement's warehouse. That was a lie. Rachel Ward called my mother several times in September with 2 projected dates in September for the installation of 3 standard size windows for September. That date was changed. October 5th of 2022, Rachel notified my mother and I that the installation for 3 standard size windows would occur approximately 15 days later. That did not occur. However, on or about October 18th of 2022, my mother called Capital Home Improvement and Rachel to convey to her that 3 standard size window installation date had changed to the end of December or possibly January of 2023. With my permission, my mother requested a full refund. Teresa came on the phone, started to yell at my mother because my mother requested a full refund. Teresa stated that I had signed a contract. That was false. She was extremely rude and disrespectful to my mother. From the time she started to talk to my mother, she constantly yelled at my mother on the phone. Therefore, my mother had to put her on speakerphone. Since this incident, my mother has displayed increased fear and anxiety. This has resulted in my mother's increasing her home security. My mother continued to exhibit fear and anxiety of retribution from Teresa. Teresa's blatant disrespect to my mother has left my mother fearful of Teresa's retaliation since Capital Home Improvement has been to and inside my mother's residence. This has resulted in my mother's increased visit with mental health provider and her appointments with her PTSD therapist. Family and friends are concerned for my mother's safety and fearful of any retribution from Teresa. My cousin refused to stay in my mother's home because they heard her yelling on the phone. Teresa Lawrence's behavior is rude, aggressive, disrespectful. They do not want to subject themselves to such rude behavior.
So just to be clear, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There was an initial agreement for the installation of the windows. Was there a signed contract? Is that written?
No.
Okay.
No.
And you initially paid a down payment towards that?
Yes.
And is that the amount that you're seeking to recover?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I have here invoices for that amount. My understanding is that you sought then to cancel the order, basically?
Well, no, Your Honor, because due to the fact that they kept changing the dates and I couldn't keep changing my work schedule.
Right.
So I figured, you know what, this is not working.
Right.
And I can't afford to keep changing the dates if you're not going to be able to give me the proper dates.
And so, but ultimately, therefore, because of those difficulties that you've described, you ended up telling them, let's go ahead and cancel this. And that's when they yelled on the phone.
Yeah.
And so the resolution from them was, no, you owe us the money and we're keeping it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And there's no written contract
No.
that you have?
The only copy that I submitted was the actual original contract, but I never signed it.
Okay, I understand your guys' arguments. Did you want to call your mother as a witness? I'm not sure I need to hear it, but if you want to, it's up to you.
Yes, it was just basically to reinforce the fact that when we tried to talk to Teresa she was very disrespectful. She yelled at me and said she had been in business for 39 years and I didn't know who she was messing with. I didn't know who I was messing with, that I would live to regret it. She was very, very aggressive and confrontational. And I just told her, I didn't understand why she was being so hostile and that my son just wanted a refund. And this was in October. And she said she had to think about it and she never got back to us. And so it's frightening that we just requested a refund because the dates kept changing and I was dealing with a medical emergency. And we just could not get her to comply.
Thank you. I understand. Mr. Tyler, other than the amount of the refund, are you seeking any other amounts as part of this judgment?
Yes, Your Honor. I am seeking full down legal fees, gas, and time off from work of $1,930.15.
Okay, I understand. So what's the amount of the refund itself?
For the window installation down payment, that'll be $1,366.15.
Okay, and that's the amount you asked them to refund you.
Correct.
And how much did you spend on proof of service for this?
I spent $400 for when I went for the legal documentation for them to be served.
$400?
Yes.
And did you attach a receipt for that?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay, and then you had to pay a filing fee here for $50, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I've heard everything I need to hear from the plaintiffs unless you feel like I'm missing something.
The fact that the last time on January the 12th, when we tried to talk to Teresa, she yelled at me again and called me ridiculous.
That was
3
with the
times.
time on January the 12th. We tried to do the first mediation and it just went so horribly wrong for them because Teresa was just out of control, aggressive.
And I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Gaynor was not present. He was not there yet.
No.
All right, thank you. Let me go ahead and hear from the defendants.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Lorenzen, you've heard the allegations and it sounds like your company refused to give a refund of $1,366.15. Is there a contract at issue here? I didn't see one in the documents.
Is there, I'm sorry, is there what?
Was there a contract, a written contract?
Yeah.
Yes, there was. Was it submitted to this court?
Yes. Yeah, well, my declaration, yeah.
Let me take a look. Was that in the defense exhibits?
It should be, yes.
All I've got in the defense exhibits is a declaration from you.
There's a declaration of Teresa as well.
Let me check here. The problem is that there's multiple filings, so there's multiple folders to go through.
Yeah, I know it.
Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. I've got a declaration of Teresa here, and I've got a counterclaim. And so are you proceeding still on that counterclaim?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and present your arguments against the claim against you and for your counterclaim?
Well, first of all, there was never no dates changed. We take care of our customers big time, obviously 40 years in business. They wouldn't let us schedule to do the install. That's the biggest thing right there. And we offered to give, you can have the windows. I don't care. They're your windows. They're for your house. But they were having none of it. So, and by the way, this is the 3rd phase of the replacement on their house. We've done 2 other phases. And they just would not let us schedule. He wanted the money back. At the time, the mother didn't. She would rather have her windows.
Your Honor, that was 12 years ago when they.
But if you could just
I'm sorry.
let him go,
Okay.
and then I'll give you a chance to rebut at the end. Sorry, and you can continue, Mr. Lorenzen. I'm sorry for the interruption.
That's okay. And also, Teresa's never said a harsh word to anybody. We've been married 45 years, been together 50 years. I know her very well. She would never say anything to a customer derogatory, ever. And
Well,
I'm.
you weren't a party. So, Mr. Lorenzen, you weren't a party to the phone calls, right?
Absolutely was.
You were on the phone call?
No, but I was, our offices are together and I'm sitting at my desk. I hear all the phone conversations of everybody.
Okay, I understand. You can continue. Thank you.
It just never happened at all. And I would have loved to just put their windows in like we always do, and they just weren't having it.
So, but you agree that you had a customer asking for a refund and to cancel the window installation, right?
Well, yeah, way after the fact.
Were these custom windows that somehow you're left stuck with and you can't install somewhere else?
Windows are made to order only these days. Not to say you couldn't go to the box store and buy a window, you can, but it's not going to fit your house. So every window that we do, and we do thousands, is per order for the size we need to do the job properly.
All right, I understand. Did you have anything further to add other than the documents that you've submitted and your testimony here?
I really don't. It's cut and dried. I'd love to put their windows in, but they wouldn't let me. They can have them if they want, but they didn't want them. I'd bring them to them. I don't even care. It doesn't matter to me. But this whole thing's gotten out of hand.
Okay, I understand. Mr. Tyler, I'll give you a minute or two.
Okay, so to clarify that, they're not custom-made windows. So I've already had another company install them. And if you look at the receipts, it does state that it says standard size windows. And the people that installed it were great, respectful. Installation was just perfect. So I love the service. Another thing is that there is no.
Did you go to for that?
Huh? I submitted that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have the receipt also, but I did submit that there too. So, and it took them about 3 weeks. Now, the other thing I'm trying to address, Gainer, because I know I'm on a short time here. There was no signed contract physically for me. I had submitted that from the beginning. And this is why we are having a problem, because these are a lot of lies passed around. And all I'm asking is a simple, can you just refund my money? And I do not need your windows no more, because guess what? I've already have windows installed. So there is no need for you guys to come here. And respectfully, if anybody in the right mind get treated the way we did, would you want anybody on your property? I doubt it. So no, I don't want nothing from them, Your Honor. I would just like to have my money back.
Okay, I understand. So in this case, I'm going to find that there was no written contract that was signed by the plaintiff. I'm going to find that the plaintiff asked for a refund of windows after several attempts to try to get installation that were unsuccessful. And I'm going to find the refund was unfairly denied. And therefore, I'm going to find that the defendant owes the plaintiff $1,366.15.
Look at his face as that sinks in. I think the judge got it right.
As well as $50 for the filing fee here. And I'm going to limit the amount for the service of process to the normal, which is about $50. Just because I don't have documentation to support anything further. I don't have the ability to reimburse for time off or anything like that, unfortunately. And I understand that that was a great deal of time and trouble that you've been through on this, but the total judgment will be $1,466.15. That'll be written up right now. It'll be available electronically to the parties. And then, of course, Capital Home Improvement does have a right to appeal if they want to. And if you want to, you have to do so within 30 days, and you can find documentation on the district court website on how to get that information, or call up the court clerk. And that's all for the parties today. If you'd like a copy of it, just check the electronic docket. It'll be up very quickly. So,
okay.
Pay the lady.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry that you had such a bad experience with customer service. And just to be clear, that didn't weigh on the party's decision. It's just unfortunate.
She was nowhere around when we talked, and she was yelling at me. Honestly.
Is there a way we can get a printout now, or can we do that?
Can we print one out now or no? Yeah, we can print one out now if you want to
Oh,
wait.
thank you, sure. Yeah, that would be so helpful.
I served my country for 30 years, Your Honor. I wouldn't lie on her. She really did yell at me.
I understand. We're all settled here now. I'll just get the document for you.
Thank you.
We are on the record in the 13th Judicial District, the District Court of Greenwood County, Kansas. Case number 2024 SC1. Ariana Letterman, plaintiff, versus Vanessa Jennings Harris, defendant. As this is a small claims court, this does come on for petition filed by Ms. Letterman, alleging that Ms. Harris owes her $4,056 for money spent to pay taxes on some property. Ms. Letterman, do you want to go ahead? I'll put you both under oath. If you'd both raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear the statements and testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Letterman, if you'd like to proceed to briefly state your cause for claim today.
So I was with Miss Jennings Harris's son for about 8.5 years on and off. We had gotten back together and he had reached out to me and said that his mom owed back taxes on this property that she inherited from her dad. And so I was eligible for a business loan, and whenever he had brought it to me, he had said that we were going to get the deed to this place and we were going to be able to fix it up, and ultimately it would be ours. So I went to my bank and I pulled a loan to present to Miss Jennings Harris for this business or this property. She paid the check, and a had went by, and I hadn't heard anything from my boyfriend at the time, which is her son, about the deed or anything. I really didn't know any details other than we were going to have this place for us to fix up. And so a couple months goes by and I'm asking him, like, what's going on? And he was just too intimidated, I guess, to talk to his mom about it. So I reached out to Miss Jennings Harris and over text messages and asked her, you know, what's going on with this place? Are we going to be able to get the deed? Because I wanted to start working on it and get the utilities in my name. And in order to do that, the business or the property had to be in my name. So I reached out to her about it, and the conversation just did not go well at all. And then probably about June, she had told me in the messages when I talked to her that it was just a loan and she would get me the money back. And so I said, okay, you know, that's fine. So we had agreed on, you know, doing payments, and she made one payment in June and one in July. And that was the last that I had heard. And she has me blocked on everything, so I couldn't reach out to her about any of this. So here we are.
And you and the boyfriend are still together?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So let me see if I understand this right. You were dating the defendant's son, and the two of you found out that his mother was behind on some property taxes, and what, was she in jeopardy of losing the property?
Yeah, it was about to go up for auction.
Now, in the petition, you call it, is it TJ's Mini Mart?
Yeah. Sorry, yes, Your Honor.
And it's located in Severy, Kansas?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, that would give me jurisdiction. Is it an active working business at this time?
No, ma'am. It's been closed for quite a few years.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it was the boyfriend's grandfather he ran the business originally?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he passed on and the business, or the property the business is on went to the defendant, Ms. Harris, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And because the property taxes hadn't been paid, it was a threat of being lost to tax sale.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the boyfriend asked if, did he ask or did you volunteer to help with the tax payments?
A little bit of both. They had asked a couple other people and I guess nobody would. So then he had asked me and I was eligible for a business loan and I saw a business opportunity and, you know, somewhere that my kids could potentially take over. And so I just did it.
So you, in your own name, solely in your name, got this business loan?
Yes, ma'am.
And the lender didn't require you to own the property?
No, ma'am.
And you didn't have to put anything up in property. Did you put anything in writing with Ms. Harris that this would be a business that you could run?
No, not exactly. Whenever I had messaged her about, you know, what was going on with the deed, because I had little details. All I knew was we were going to get this place together. We were delivering the check to his mom so she could pay it. And then the deed would be signed over. And that was that. I didn't know anything about a loan. I wasn't told really anything at all. My boyfriend had just asked me if this was something we could do. And I said yes. And, you know, to save this place, I mean, my dad was a good friend of Vanisa's dad. So I felt almost as if this was kind of meant for us, you know? So no, but whenever I had messaged Vanessa about the deed, she kind of blew up on me and said she would get me my money, and pretty much that was that. So
I wonder if that was after the relationship fell apart. I'm assuming they're not dating anymore. I might be wrong. But yeah, don't do this. Don't do this. Always get a contract. Nothing without a contract. It's just a gift because you can't prove it unless they've made a payment towards it or something like that for you to be able to say that this is them acknowledging it's a loan. But if you don't get it in writing, you are so out of luck.
So she did not want to sell or give or transfer the property in any way, is what she said after the fact?
yeah, I don't believe so. No.
All right, but you gave her a one-time payment of $4,056, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have received back two payments totaling $400, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So your demand for judgment is $3,656. But then you also put recovery of personal property plus court costs of $4,056. So where does the $4,056 come from if you've already received payments of $400? Which amount are you seeking recovery of?
Just the remaining balance of the 3,600. Yeah, I probably meant that just being the total of what it was. But yeah, she did pay me for two payments of $400.
All right. So Miss, is it Jennings Harris or Harris that you prefer to go by?
Harris is fine, Your Honor.
Now, pay special attention to how this woman acknowledges and answers the questions.
Okay, Miss Harris, then do you agree that she did provide a check for $4,056 to help you pay for your taxes on this particular property?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you agree that you've repaid $400 of it, treating it as a loan?
Yes, Your Honor, to a certain extent here. This has been quite an ordeal. I, by all means, did not have any idea what all was discussed between her and my son. Did not know that this was a loan.
What did you think it was?
Well, when the taxes came due, I've owned this property for many years, and I reached out to both of my boys and said, hey, do we want to keep this property? Do I want to look into selling this property? What do we want to do? They replied that they would like to keep it. I said, okay, this is what we've got to come up with. So in between that, my son came to me and said, we have the money. So I said, okay, are you sure that you guys want to do this? I went to him and said, are you sure this is what we want to do? So he said yes. And then that is when I received the money.
When he told you we have the money, who did he mean, or who did he indicate to you was we?
Him and Ariana.
Okay, so you did understand that Ariana was helping put up the money, if not putting up the whole money?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So there's no dispute that she gave you the money and you believe she's entitled to repayment of that money?
Yes, Your Honor, she did put up that money.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. I'm not contradicting that at all. She did have the check was from her. So yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. And you agree that you've paid her $400?
Yes, ma'am.
So
she came.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. She had texted me. We kind of went back and forth with text that she was struggling to make the loan payments and that she needed to get these done. And so I told her I would get some money that I could do, get her some payments on this. And so I didn't want, she does have my granddaughter. I didn't want them to struggle. So I was giving her some money to help her out. Yes, ma'am.
You're helping her pay a loan that she got for you. She's struggling because she helped you.
The total was $400.
All right. So you agree that you still owe her $3,656?
I agree that is what's left of what was given to me.
All right, I am going to grant judgment to the plaintiff, Ariana Letterman, in the amount of $3,656 with 12% interest until paid. And court costs, what did you pay for court costs, Ms. Letterman?
I believe it was 65 and then 15 to serve her.
If my math is correct, that adding the 65 and the 15 is $3,736. That will be the judgment at 12% interest. When can you get this paid, Ms. Harris?
I will need to make payments on this. There's absolutely no way that I can come up with this in full.
Well, judgment is granted. Once a person takes judgment, they can use legal means to enforce that. And if you don't have that paid in full within 30 days, there are forms she can send and require you to fill out, revealing your assets. If you don't do that, she can bring you back to court on contempt citation. So I would give you 30 days to get that paid in full. And then after that, it is up to Ms. Letterman to exercise her collection rights, some of which I've just mentioned. So If she wants to accept payments, she can work that out with you. If she wants to proceed with other methods, she can do that as well. So
Thank
with
you, Your Honor.
that being said, we'll be in recess. You both are excused at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She never once acknowledged or admitted that she believed that she owed that debt or that she needed to repay that debt. She acknowledged and admitted that Ariana took the loan out for the purpose of the business, but she did not feel like she needed to pay it back. Yeah, I get that vibe too. I think Ariana is much better off without being in that relationship. For him to, it sounds like there was a whole lot of not communicating. And if there was, then it was a, I don't want to necessarily say plan between the mom and the son, but it might be something that they're used to doing. I don't know. It just didn't sound right. I think that girl got taken advantage of. That's how I feel, is I feel like she got taken advantage of. Oh, that was fun, you guys. We had a great time in chat tonight. Yeah, they've got to do that part of it for 18 years. Yep. Hopefully they're co-parenting better than the relationship. All right, guys. Hopefully weather will cooperate with me soon. I love being here with you guys, but I really, really need to get back over to that house and get stuff emptied out, get a Penske truck rented or U-Haul or something, get it loaded up. It can all go in my basement for now. I'll sift through it later, but we got to get that house cleared out before the bank does. So, oi. But I need to have a day when I don't wake up to freezing rain. I was planning on going today. I wasn't going to live stream tonight, but here I am. And hopefully, I'll be able to get everything taken care of. I love you guys all so much. Thank you for being here. You guys are truly the best. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.